The machine groaned, broken beyond what the engineers could fix. The CEO stood frustrated, deadlines looming like storm clouds. A quiet boy stepped forward, oil-stained hands trembling. "Let me try," he said, eyes steady, heart pounding. No one knew he was the son of the man who built the machine. The factory floor was silent, save for the occasional hiss of steam and the murmurs of restless workers. A crucial machine had broken down, halting production and threatening a major delivery. Engineers scratched their heads, tools useless against the aged beast of metal and wires. The CEO, pacing near the control panel, was growing visibly impatient. Out of the shadows stepped a boy no older than 17, in muddy boots and a grease-stained shirt. "Can I try?" he asked softly. The CEO turned, surprised. "Who are you?" "Just a farmer's son," the boy replied, eyes scanning the machine with a strange familiarity. The CEO shrugged. "Be my guest." Kneeling beside the broken engine, the boy ran his fingers along the pipes, bolts, and levers as if greeting an old friend. He listened, not just with his ears, but with something deeper. He didn't pull out schematics or call for help. He simply knew. Within minutes, the machine shuddered, coughed, and roared back to life. Applause erupted. The CEO stared, stunned. "Where did you learn that?" The boy stood, wiping his hands. "My father used to work here. He designed this model before he went back to farming." The CEO's eyes widened. He remembered the man, brilliant, humble, gone without a word years ago. "You're his son?" The boy nodded. "He taught me everything he knew." The CEO smiled, a new respect lighting his face. "Well, looks like his legacy is still alive." And just like that, the farmer's son became more than just a boy. He became the heir to a quiet brilliance that machines could recognize and people would never forget. The sun beat down on the factory roof, where a group of engineers gathered in frustration around a lifeless machine. Production had halted. The CEO, visiting for a surprise inspection, watched in disbelief. Millions were at stake, and no one could fix the issue. Then came a voice, quiet but firm. "I can try." They turned to see a boy, dusty from the fields, with calloused hands and sharp eyes. He looked no older than 16. The CEO frowned. "Who are you?" "I help out nearby." "My father was a mechanic," the boy said, already walking toward the broken machine. "Was," one engineer asked. "He passed last year," the boy replied, kneeling by the engine. He laid his hand on the metal like it was alive, like he could feel its pulse. The CEO sighed but gestured for him to proceed. What harm could it do? Minutes passed. The boy moved quickly, bypassing complex systems with ease, tightening bolts, adjusting flow valves, and rerouting wires with confidence. Sparks flew. Then the machine roared to life. Silence. Then cheers. The CEO stepped forward, stunned. "What did you say your name was?" "Ravi," the boy said. "Ravi Varma." The CEO's eyes widened. "Varma, as in Arjun Varma?" The boy nodded. "My father." Arjun Varma had been a legend, an engineer whose innovations had saved the company years ago, before he mysteriously resigned and returned to farming. "I see now," the CEO said softly. "You're not just a farmer's son. You're the heir of a genius." Ravi smiled, wiping his hands. "I'm both." And in that moment, the soil and the circuit met, legacy not in blood alone, but in brilliance passed from hand to hand, heart to heart. The factory was at a standstill. The main assembly machine had failed, and none of the technicians could figure out why. The CEO, flanked by his team, looked over the scene with rising frustration. Every minute of downtime cost thousands. Then, a voice from the back, "May I take a look?" Everyone turned to see a teenager in worn clothes, sleeves rolled up, face smudged with dirt. No badge. No tools. Just calm confidence. "Who are you?" the CEO asked sharply. "No one important," the boy said. "But I've seen this kind of problem before." A technician scoffed. This isn't a tractor in a field, kid. The CEO hesitated, then waved a hand. Let him. The boy approached the machine, running his fingers over the casing, listening to its silence. He opened a panel, adjusted a valve, rewired a connection, and tapped the restart button. The machine whirred. Then hummed. Then, with a low rumble, came back to life. Gasps echoed through the room. The CEO stared, stunned. Where did you learn to do that? The boy stood. My father taught me. Long ago. Who's your father? He used to work here. You knew him as Mr. Heir. The CEO's expression shifted. Mr. Heir, brilliant, quiet, and gone too soon from a heart attack. The man had revolutionized the company's systems a decade ago. His name was etched in the company's history, but his face had faded. You're his son? The boy nodded. The CEO looked again at the dirt-stained hands that had just outperformed a room full of engineers. Unknown hands, perhaps, but tied to a legacy none of them had seen coming. He offered his hand. Welcome back, Heir. The assembly line had gone silent. Sparks had flown, alarms had blared, and now the machine, an aging but essential cog in the factory's operations, sat motionless. Tension thickened in the air as engineers scrambled, their confidence eroding with every failed fix. The CEO stood nearby, arms folded, jaw tight. This delay could cost contracts, jobs, reputations. Then, from the edge of the crowd, came a quiet voice. Mind if I give it a shot? Heads turned. A young man in dusty jeans and boots stepped forward. Clearly not one of the staff. The CEO frowned. Who are you? Just a helper from the farms down the road. I used to watch my father fix things like this, he said, eyes locked on the broken machine. Snickers echoed. The CEO hesitated. Then sighed. Fine. One try. The boy stepped up with calm focus. He listened to the machine, placed a hand on its frame, then opened the panel. His hands moved with practiced ease, tightening here, rewiring there. Within minutes, the machine coughed, then whirred, then returned to life. Silence. Then applause. The CEO stared. You said your father worked on machines like this? Yes, the boy replied. Right here, actually. Before he was let go during the layoffs. A hush fell. The CEO's face softened. What was his name? Dev Malik. The CEO's eyes widened. Dev had been one of their best, honest, loyal, forgotten in the shuffle of profits and losses. The boy looked at the humming machine. He taught me that machines are like people. Sometimes, they don't just need repairs, they need to be understood. The CEO nodded slowly. The machine was running again, but something deeper had been restored. Respect. Memory. Humanity. Sometimes, it takes a stranger to fix more than what's broken. It was just another crisis in the factory. The central processing unit had short-circuited, and none of the engineers could bring it back online. Orders were piling up. Tension crackled in the air as the CEO demanded answers. A voice came from the edge of the crowd. Maybe I can help. They turned to see a teenage boy, mud on his boots, grease on his sleeves, and a calm look in his eyes. He didn't look like he belonged. The CEO narrowed his gaze. And you are? Rohan. I live on the farm nearby. My father told me stories about this place. This isn't a story, kid. It's a multi-million-dollar machine. I know, Rohan said softly. He helped build it. That gave them pause. Skeptical but desperate, the CEO waved him forward. Rohan approached the machine with quiet confidence, studying its insides like he was reading a familiar book. Within minutes, he reconnected the damaged circuits, reset the cooling system, and flipped the switch. The machine hummed back to life. A stunned silence followed. The CEO stepped forward. You said your father helped build this? Yes. Arvind Kumar. Recognition flickered in the CEO's eyes. Arvind, the brilliant engineer who vanished from the company years ago, choosing farming over fortune. No one ever understood why. I didn't know he had a son. Rohan smiled. He taught me everything. Said knowledge is like a seed, it grows best in quiet soil. The CEO looked at the boy, then the machine, then the future. You're more than a farmer's son. You're his legacy. Rohan nodded. And your secret asset. Just well hidden. In that moment, the factory buzzed back to life, not just with machinery, but with a quiet reminder: genius doesn't always wear a suit. The machine had failed again. Tension ran high on the factory floor as engineers argued over diagnostics, wires, and half-finished repairs. Time was running out, and the CEO, flown in that morning for an inspection, watched with increasing impatience. Anyone else got a miracle, he snapped. A hand rose at the back. Small. Dirty. Hesitant. I can try, said a boy, no older than 17, dressed in worn jeans and a sweat-soaked shirt. No ID badge, just a quiet confidence in his voice. The CEO raised an eyebrow. You work here? No, the boy replied. I help out in the fields. My father used to work in this factory. Snickers followed. One technician muttered, we need an engineer, not a scarecrow. But the CEO, more curious than hopeful, waved him forward. Go ahead, farm boy. The boy approached the machine. He didn't speak. Didn't hesitate. His hands moved like they'd done this before, checking the coolant flow, tightening key joints, rewiring the ignition system. Moments later, the machine coughed, blinked, and roared to life. The room fell silent. Then erupted in disbelief. The CEO stepped forward. What did you say your name was? Rishi, the boy said. Rishi Mehta. The CEO froze. Mehta? As in Rajiv Mehta? Rishi nodded. My father. The color drained from the CEO's face. Rajiv Mehta, the man who once revolutionized the factory's automation systems, was a legend, thought long gone after he left suddenly to care for his ailing parents on a farm. You're his son? Yes, Rishi replied. He taught me that machines remember kindness and precision. The CEO looked at the boy with new eyes. He didn't know the boy's roots, but now he understood the strength of them. Sometimes, greatness grows in silence, deep, steady, and unseen.